Hey everybody, my name is Dr. Robert LiKam Wa. I'm an associate professor here at Rice University. This is actually day 99 on the job. I counted, I just started on July 1st. And for the past 9 years, I've been wandering in the desert in Arizona State University, where I was a professor there, in the School of Arts, Media and Engineering, and Electrical and Computer and Energy Engineering. So what I'll be talking about today is some of the stuff that we did there and how we're bringing it into Rice and also into Houston Methodist as well through our partnership with the Bookout Center. So I'm actually 90% Rice, 10% Houston Methodist, 100% fun, but what I really love doing is blend virtual and physical worlds together. So what does this mean, right? You've got different words flying around like AR, VR, MR, XR, these ideas that you can blend these realities together. With augmented reality, you've got your physical world that you're seeing, and you can throw other visuals on top of that. In virtual reality, you can completely teleport somebody to another space and completely compose different visuals for those spaces. And these are incredible technologies because you can actually make these teleportation things happen. You can train, you can educate, you can get somebody into the situation room of where they need to be thinking about their future before they even do that. And at Arizona State University, we were really focused on using this for educational purposes. How do you train people about situations that they would be entering into in the future? And we were doing a lot in the systems domain as well as in creative production. And so we're bringing that into Rice now. Again, day 99 on the job, we've rebranded our lab into the Experiential Pixels Lab, or EXP Lab. We're engineering these platforms for immersive experiences through these spatial computing systems. And that means we've got to do a lot of innovation in the software and hardware intersections. How do we think about how these things connect to do real-time rendering? Right? How do you get different data that's coming from whatever sources they may be coming from, whatever artistry, whatever sensors, and blend that all into the spatial environment and place the data where it needs to be? How do we think about the spatial and volumetric 3D capture of that real world? How do we think about how we get these to show up in the XR devices by thinking about the innovations that are necessary for these XR devices? Projection mapping, how do we throw light into the physical world so that the surfaces in our environment can also be used as opposed to having people always have to put a headset on? And how do we spatialize the visualization of our data? Now, the biggest impediment to actually having these things take off is not the devices itself and not really even the technology itself, but the production of the content. There's always a content limitation of relevant content that's really impactful, really useful, and that actually meets people's business use cases. And so the workflows for creative production are incredibly important. As I mentioned, XR can be incredibly useful for training, for learning, but how do you actually build content that meets the learning objectives? How do you build educational integration into people's different LMS systems that it'll just flow naturally? It requires a collaboration of lots of different experts to bring together, and so I have Ph.D. students who study that process as well. How do you train workforces through this? How do you train collaboration through these things? What do you measure? And of course, the big buzzword here is AI. How do you integrate AI into these workflows to accelerate the whole process? That includes in the content production side of things of getting your artistry up, but also in the alignment that you need to form between your experts, between your engineers, between your artists, your designers, your narrative producers to actually pull an experience together. So these are all things that we actually care about. I'll give you a few examples of things that we've been doing. So up in the upper left-hand corner, we were working with Komatsu Corporation. They build very large yellow vehicles. You may have seen these very large yellow vehicles doing construction on your streets. In Houston, there's lots of it, right? So in addition to working on construction on the streets, they also build these equipment for mining. Now, the wheels are 10 feet tall. The big yellow vehicles are 2 stories tall. It's like taller than this auditorium, right? So how do you actually train somebody to prepare a work site safely for that kind of environment? How do you have them go through the checklists of what's necessary to check for loose hand railings, check for the emergency shutoff valves, know what they're going to be handling before you actually use precious work site mining time? And so we created an experience that's fully haptified that allows people to teleport into those work sites, and we can have people evaluated on how they're checking through their safety procedures. Komatsu has actually licensed this IP from us and are using it to train their folks in safety dojos. Komatsu is a Japanese company, so they have safety dojos. And so they're training their new customers and their manufacturing processes through these materials. We also work a lot on augmenting reality by putting data everywhere where it needs to be. And so we've worked with different iPad apps, we've put together different virtual reality apps, and actually released these on different stores, app stores, on Steam, et cetera, and really tried to connect with different users around the world. In the lower left-hand corner, you've got 360-degree narratives that we've been building. So we built a 3-part series about an indigenous artist in the Phoenix area. We have a set of Dene weavers, we have hoop dancers, and we have installation artists who actually we wanted to bring their art and craft into the minds of different middle schoolers and high schoolers in the valley. And so we worked with a local nonprofit called Act One. And so this material has been seen by over 12,000 students. To do this, we had engineered this headset fleet where we can actually have all these headsets in lockstep on different students' heads. So 30, 40 headsets at a time in millisecond lockstep so they can all play the audio and hear the same thing, but as they look around, they're able to get their own view of what's going on. Now, as you can see from that picture, it's a blend between both the physical world of somebody dancing there, a hoop dancer, in this virtual landscape as well. So you can artistically blend these concepts together and tell all kinds of stories. So we were on Good Morning America on that, for that one. It's been seen by over 12,000 students at this point, and more coming soon as they bring out those fleets to different schools. And we also build different narratives about careers, immersive narratives about careers as well, including careers in meteorology in this case as well. So we've been working with lots of different experts to pull these things together, and the next adventure is now to bring this into the medical domain as well. So again, this is day 99 on the job. I'm 90% here at Rice, and then 10% at this Houston Methodist Bookout Center. We are really excited and engaged in the concept of how do we use XR to advance surgical training, advance operation, advance all kinds of different training as well in the medical field. How do we also help patients, educate patients about the procedures that they're going to be going through? These big, scary machines, these medical tubes, these metal tubes that you're going to be putting them through before they actually go through. How do you create that sense of comfort? So there's lots of different adventures, lots of hills to climb that we're really excited about that you can accomplish when you integrate different research into these areas. So deeper into the research itself that we've been doing, right? We're on the engineering side, we're really excited about different pixel pipelines. How do you capture those pixels from the physical world, right? You've got these traditional image sensor systems. They get data in with these sensor pipelines at these different resolutions, but the world has lots of different resolutions that it presents the world to you through your cameras. And different lights, right? In a surgical environment, you've got very bright spots, very dark spots. Can we create these adaptable image sensor systems that understand their environment and tune the sensor pipelines so that they capture exactly the data that's needed in order to replicate what's needed for these machines to do their job, for the robots to do their job, for the people to see these data as well? This is what we're really after in terms of the software-hardware pipelines of engineering the future here. These can get integrated into headsets, integrated into your room, integrated into your machines, so that these sensor pipelines can drive an understanding of the connection of your computers to that physical world. Let me just go past that one. So we're really interested in also looking at the athletic form. So looking at human bodies as well, and seeing how can we use those cameras that might be distributed around a lab, might be distributed around a sports court or a stadium. How do we use those sensors to then actually transmit data through our networks to then reconstruct these 3D models, such as this one of Jamal James up there, so that you can see him from any perspective possible and annotate that? Why would you want to do that? Well, if you can get a coach and an athlete in the same virtual room, looking at their same virtual form of them doing a squat, then the coach could obviously say, hey, you're not squatting deeply enough, right? You could have more accelerated physical training, personal training situations, but you could also have deeper physical therapy for somebody who's returning from injury, from somebody who's trying to prevent injury, you can actually have them annotate where problems might happen. And because this is virtual, you can see them in a progression of a rep to rep, week to week, season to season. How are they performing this as they're improving or as they might be experiencing fatigue? What muscles are taking over as they're going through fatigue? And so this presents really fun engineering challenges, I'll say, about distributed computing. How do you distribute the workload of all of this pixel processing that needs to happen? On device, off device, clustered, cloud. How do you capture, process, reconstruct? Where do you do all of this? How do you distribute all of this so it all happens in real time so that your coach and your athlete can be there with their data at the same time? You can imagine all the amazing medical applications for this, probably more than I can, which is why I'd love to collaborate with all of you on these sorts of things. We also really care about multi-scale, multi-user data visualization, and we found great application for this in planetary science, where they're getting tons and tons of data over the deep space network into the planetary data system. And they're like, okay, so we have all this data, now what, right? They want to create scientific return on this data. And so they've got this rover data from on ground that we can actually turn into 3D environments using photogrammetry processes. And they also have orbital data coming from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. So our students are working very hard on pulling that data together, like you see in the bottom right-hand corner there, of looking at the orbital spectroscopy as it lands onto the surface of Mars and being able to form inference and understanding of what's happening with the geologic history of Mars. So these are sorts of environments that you can actually create conversation around because you can spatially understand the relationships and communicate over them. And so we also have a collaboration platform for that we call Planetary Parfait. It's called Parfait because you can activate and deactivate different layers of data, and you can do this collaboratively. So we released it on the Steam store. We have about 3,000 active users. And what these 3,000 active users do is they actually join into collaborative platforms, and they can fly around different terrains together. Maps of different terrains that are all co-registered together through a collaboration that we have with this system called JMARS. But it takes basically anything that NASA has released in terms of public map data of different planets, the moon, Mars, different asteroids, and people can explore these together. Imagine what this means for education. Imagine what this means for science return as well through research collaboration. And imagine now if we map this to the medical space as well, because there's all kind of multi-user, multi-scale data analysis that can be collaborative now through these sorts of platforms. And we're really excited to build those platforms of the future. We're also really excited about multi-sensory integration. Those of you who are familiar with Da Vinci-like, Simani-like tools, you know that the haptic feedback is incredibly important, that while you're dealing with medical robots, that you can feel the responses here. And we have, the name gets thrown around a lot because she's excellent, Dr. Marcia O'Malley, who really focuses on these sorts of haptic apparatuses. We're really excited to build these things as well. Historically, we've been working on how can you get a sense of fluidity into the haptic return from these different virtual reality experiences. As you pick up a vessel, how do you make it feel like there's fluid inside of it? So we have some electromechanical apparatuses. This is a shifting weight interface for simulated hydrodynamics, which we call SWISH, or Geppetto, our string-based apparatus, to do the same. We also, like I said, study creative production workflows. What's the research, the teaming needed to coordinate and create with all these different folks? Because you need content experts, you need instructional designers, you need folks who understand narrative sequencing, and folks who understand how to develop and how to put them into a timeline where they can align and work together. So imagine what we can do with this kind of narrative formation in medical situations as well. So all of these sorts of things are coming to bear that through this partnership, through this positioning with the Bookout Center, we're really looking to advance these sorts of things together. And I don't come from the medical space, and y'all do, so I could use all your help here. So please reach out anytime. We are powered by humans. These are the humans on our team. But please reach out at any time, LiKam Wa at rice.edu, and would love to work together with you. Thanks.